And Paul, a reaction from you. Maybe you can tell me what the UK's interest in all of this is.
Well, the UK, of course, is one of the signatories of the 2015 Iran nuclear accord, the JCPOA, and it was clearly hoping that Donald Trump would not take this step and formally withdraw the United States from this deal, but he does certainly seem to have done that. He said he would. This was a campaign promise, and certainly, as you said, extremely strong language, as we've come to expect from Donald Trump. He said this was a horrible one-sided deal and that it didn't bring calm or peace, and it never will. And he's also saying it's decaying and rotten at its core and defective. So Donald Trump there very much saying that the US would be pulling out of this, but we're still waiting for exactly what these sanctions are. Now, this is what is key for Europe, because they're certainly the sanctions on the Iranian central bank, which have allowed oil exports. We're expecting Donald Trump's waiver to not be signed on that, for that to go ahead. But it's really a question of how many other companies will be sanctioned, 400 companies perhaps in Iran. And that's the big deal for Europe and the UK, because trade has already started with these Iranian companies. And as Donald Trump very clearly just said, any other countries who would be involved in breaking these US sanctions that he's going to reassert and to put back into action, they would also be punished. So presumably that could mean European countries, including the United Kingdom. But there is still perhaps some wiggle room left. There may perhaps be a certain period of time where companies are given a grace period to wind down their operations in Iran. Perhaps even some exceptions will be granted to certain businesses in certain countries and certain sectors. But certainly European diplomats, European leaders, including the UK, certainly feel that they failed to persuade Donald Trump that this JCPOA can be improved, that the concerns he has about the ballistic program, which could essentially deliver nuclear weapons to a target, also more sanctions or more provisions in the agreement to deal with Iran's perceived malign influence in the Middle East, including Yemen and Syria. He's saying that hasn't worked, it's not been done, we need to start over. So really now the next few hours and few moments, really, the Europeans and the British included, working out exactly what the details are with these new sanctions.
Paul, very quickly, is the UK worried about global security as well? Donald Trump is suggesting again that soft diplomacy doesn't work. It's better to go in hard, suggesting that now it's yielding benefits with North Korea. But as I understand, the other countries are worried that this will have a destabilizing effect and not a peaceful outcome at all.
Absolutely, and I think the main concern now is that, well, you've got two main concerns, that if Iran does decide that with the US pulling out of this deal, it is completely unworkable, well then all bets are off, and do they then start pursuing a nuclear weaponry again? And certainly we've heard multiple concerns about a nuclear, or certainly an arms race anyway, in the region. So that's something that is going to be worrying a lot of people, absolutely. And Boris Johnson, the British Foreign Secretary, again in DC a couple of days ago, or yesterday in fact, saying that yes, we do think that we share these concerns, that Iran is a big worry and has been a destabilizing influence in the region, but let's work together to try and improve this deal. But Donald Trump said time's run out. So big concerns tonight. It's hard to overestimate how important this is, perhaps the biggest foreign policy decision of Donald Trump's presidency.
All right, thank you very much, Paul Barber, live from London. The US president withdrawing from that deal. I can tell you at least the rand, which has weakened in anticipation, has not weakened further since that announcement tonight.